Kia ora, and welcome to Tuesday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect New Zealand. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz. And today we lead with news. Most of our trading partners are coming under much heavier input cost pressures, along with supply chain disruptions. Meanwhile, the US and Iran have rejected each other's proposals to end the war. That is pushing up the price of oil today. And in the US, the head of their largest bank is saying private credit losses will be much larger than most assume. In the US, the widely followed March ISM Services PMI came in a touch lower than expected and lower than for February. The strong activity component slowed very fast, but is still expanding. This survey found employment contracting, though. It also found prices rising their fastest since October 2022. These firms are not waiting to push through recovery price increases this time. Remember, the S&P Global Services PMI released earlier found its first decline in activity since January 2023. Employment was down in that survey amid their weakest rise in new orders for nearly 2 years. They also found steeper rises in both input costs and output prices in March, so very similar to the ISM version. One of those input costs is fuel, of course, and now petrol is up 38% in the US, diesel up 51% since the start of their war on Iran. The Canadian Services PMI is still contracting, extending that retreat to 5 straight months. However, the March shortfall was the least in that period. Inflation accelerated due to rising fuel and transportation costs. Employment fell, although overall confidence was up to a 6-month high there. And the Singapore economy was still expanding at a moderate pace in March, but there were signs of a slowdown. Their PMI dropped to its lowest seen in 2026 so far from softer growth in output and new orders. Input price inflation accelerated to a survey record 10-year high. Singapore's retail sales fell in February from January on a seasonally adjusted basis, down an unexpectedly large 4.1%. The year-on-year result isn't so relevant this month due to the skewed timing of Chinese New Year. And India's services PMI is still expanding fast in March, although continuing the receding growth trend they've had for more than 8 months. Input price inflation climbed to a 45-month high, and they had their weakest rise in new business and activity since January 2025. But they also had another strong upturn in services exports. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now just on 4.34%, down 1 basis point from yesterday. And the price of gold will start today down $24 at $4,651 an ounce. Silver is holding, though, at $73 an ounce. And American oil prices are up $2.50 at just on $114 a barrel, while the international Brent price is up $1.50 at just under $110.50 a barrel, and still lower than US prices. And the Kiwi dollar is up 20 basis points at 57.1 US cents. Against the Aussie, though, we've dipped 10 basis points at 82.6 Australian cents. Against the euro, we're unchanged at 49.5 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today up 15 basis points from yesterday at just under 61. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $69,614 and up 3.4% from yesterday. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been moderate, just on plus or minus 2.3%. You get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.